authors from the Worldschoolers book, which just launched on Friday. So in today's interview, we're going to be hearing from her. She shared her story in chapter number 3 of the Worldschoolers book, and documents her experiences from public school teacher to travelpreneur on social media as school in a backpack. So I want to ask her some questions, find out a little bit more about her story. Is that okay? Dan and
Yeah,
Joanna?
yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
In your chapter, you talk about ownschooling, which is a different term, right? Ownschooling your son since he was 1 year old. Can you tell us what ownschooling is and how your son inspired that?
Okay, so for me, ever since my son was born, I've always had this personal belief that learning is personal. That's really where um, my vision is for my son originated when we chose what kind of educational method we'll take with him.
Mhm.
So everybody has their own learning journey, and learning is really personal. So to be able to personalize your learning journey, you have to take ownership of it. So for me, I always want to say that we're own schooling. It doesn't matter what method you choose. You can go different
Mhm.
routes. You can take different methodologies. I mean, you can do Montessori. There's like Charlotte Mason, classical. You can even
Right.
go the traditional brick and mortar. But as long as you know that this is personalized for your child. I mean, I came from a brick and mortar. I used to teach in a public school, and
Mhm.
I would always encourage parents to take ownership of their child's education. We partnered together, getting to know the child and really embracing their learning, so that when they become of age, it becomes an kind of like an inheritance that the parent can give to the child. Now you get to own your education. It becomes a lifelong learning experience. So you have to love each process of it. And so
Mhm.
that's when I started to use own schooling. It's
I
very
love
inclusive.
that. I love that because there's a quote. I don't know who said it, but the idea is that parents and teachers have the same job, and your job is that one day your children or your students, we all say like my kids are our students, that they don't
Yeah,
need you anymore. And that's kind of
right.
what that reminded me of. You're preparing your son and you're preparing your kids at school so that one
Yeah.
day they don't need you anymore.
Yeah, it's theirs now. It's your own
Right.
school now. Yeah. So
So you
it's pretty
mentioned being a public school teacher, and when I
cool.
met you, you were like, "This is my last week. I'm quitting." Was it hard to be in a public school setting where things aren't personalized?
I think that's one of the things that I'm really thankful. My director and the people that I've worked with, they were very welcoming and open to some of the things that I had advocated for. I was very transparent and honest about how
Hmm.
I own school my child,
Yeah.
and so I would always like kind of submit some suggestions and like, okay,
Hmm.
this program is what I would want to do for summer school, or this is how I want to fix my classroom, and this is the routines that we have, and this is what's important for me for these kids. And so I'm really, really blessed to have such supportive superiors and colleagues. They gave me the free reign to kind of maneuver some curriculums around and just work through. There are always standards, whether you're in a brick
Right.
and mortar or even us world schoolers. We kind of think, okay, they should be able to read now, specifics that are
Right. You
kind
have
of,
it in your head.
yeah. So it's really just the delivery part that's different.
Hmm.
And so I've always advocated for experiential learning and character education, and just bringing that as the plate and serving learning for the students, even though they're in a classroom, and
Hmm.
being transparent to your directors and your superiors and your colleagues, and seeing how you can marry these ideas. And so, yeah, so it wasn't as hard as people would think it would be. there are means and ways, I guess. And I know that I've talked a little bit about some tips on how to do that in the chapter of the book. Um, but it's totally different compared to like fully world schooling, where you really use the environment. You take the child in different places and open different
Mhm.
worlds for them to experience learning in a different way. So yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
Well, if you're, because not all teachers have that supportive, not all teachers. A lot of teachers are frustrated. They're very, teach the test, and they have to teach a certain way. If you
Yeah.
had that support and you were able to really make it your own, why did you decide to leave?
So for me, health and family is a priority. So
Mhm.
there's, with the whole pandemic thing, and teachers got chucked, and I know a lot of teachers can really relate to this, just chucked into like the virtual learning and kind
Right.
of changing the way that you teach. I think for me it wasn't as hard because I'm already homeschooling, own schooling my child, world schooling my child, and so it wasn't such a difficult switch. Um, but it does take a toll,
Hmm.
and so I had to take my health and my child and my family's health, mental health, and all those kinds of things a priority. And for me, it's with the world opening back up again, it's just another chance for me to go out there and and world school again with my child, because we've always been world schooling since he was
Hmm.
5 months in my womb.
I love that. Me too.
Womb to world. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's now that he's 12, I'm just kind of running. I don't want to say running against time. It's just, taking each moment, because time flies with these kids. They just,
It
like, one moment they're
does.
like this, and then all of a sudden they're like that. So
It does. And that's did you have to do as a public school teacher, did you have to do the Zoom and the whole online classes?
yeah,
How was it?
yeah, yeah.
Was it
um, it wasn't such a huge. I think what's really difficult for me is that I'm a special education teacher, so
mhm.
I have, and I have in the district the self-contained classroom. So I have the nonverbals and the ones that really need
Oh,
all
oh
the
no.
physical assistance and support.
That's not
And
possible on Zoom.
yeah, that's why it was really difficult. But I think one of the great things that I've realized was what helped me was that from the onset, I really had a really good relationship with the parents,
Yeah.
and they were very, very supportive. So that made a difference. Yeah.
And that's so important. That's so important. As a parent, I mean, I used to teach ESL, so you had to get the parents involved or there would be no progress.
Right. Yeah.
Tell us about, you have this project, this business, School in a Backpack, and you're promoting it everywhere. What is it about?
Okay, so School in a Backpack started in 2015. I've kind of been blogging. I had personal blogs even before I got married and I got pregnant, and so when we officially said, okay, I'm gonna be a full-time digital nomad mom, where I'm gonna work everywhere and I'm gonna take my kid everywhere. We're gonna learn using the environment. That's when I launched School in a Backpack in 2015. Really, it's just, we all have our innate backpacks. We're carrying it
Right.
around, and each experience, learning from them and everything, we just chug in there, and we use it when we have to pull out of it, and we use it anytime that we need it. And so it's kind of like we're bringing school with us, because everything is a learning experience. And so that's where School in the Backpack came about. And so from a personal blog, it's kind of typing away what my son and I were doing, where we're going. We kind of became a community at the end of 2017. We had, I think, 183 families. Like, where are you guys
Wow.
going? Can we join you guys? What are you guys doing? And so I did migrate to the US. And so that kind of fizzled out. And now that I've stepped out of the
Hmm.
public school classroom, into the classroom of the world as we know it. um, to relaunch it as a company here in the US to kind of bring about all the advocacies and if we can share what we do, workshops and PDs and stuff. So
So
yeah.
who should look for you? What kind of services? Who's the person that should look for you?
Okay, so if you are a parent that would are wondering how it is like to homeschool, world school, unschool, what other schools are that school or
Travel
school,
schooling,
road school?
freedom schooling, life schooling, road schooling. I know all the terms now.
Yeah, please reach out to us. We do have a program called Learn at Home, quote unquote, home being your home is where your heart is. So wherever you go,
Mhm.
we do have that workshop to kind of help you ease into it's not as hard as you think it is. So we do have 5 days where we talk about your vision for your child and like curriculums and choosing curriculums and the environment and rhythms and routines and raising an independent learner. We have social emotional learning, um, my own schooling starter kit. We have that. So we work
What is
alongside you
that?
and
What is the
yeah.
starting kit?
So
Starter kit.
it's 8 days of full immersive experience where we kind of partner together as teacher and parent
Mhm.
so that you feel more confident as after the 8 days to take the whole journey on your own with your
Nice.
child. So we do it together with you first. Yeah.
Is that virtual or is that in person?
So we do have virtual and we have in person. We started Learn at Home as an in person thing back in my country in the Philippines. And so we brought it back during the pandemic because all of the parents are like, oh my gosh, I have to teach my child.
I
So
was
like, hey,
one. I was one. If I hadn't met you, my daughter's ADHD. I was contacting psychologists, like anybody, like online tutors, out school classes. And I'm a teacher, and I have a degree, a
yeah,
master's in educational technology. But I'm like, with my own kid, it's so different.
it is right. But
It
it's more
is.
fun, I think. Yeah.
It
So
is,
yeah,
but I think at the beginning we do need help, myself included. We need help, and that's a great service.
yeah. So hopefully that helps the parents kind of like lessen the freak out mode. Like, oh my god, you can do this. It's not as hard as you think. And it's really fun. I mean, Sarah,
It's not
it's
as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was hard when we were trying to do what was expected, like the Zoom classes, that was not happening, like curriculum. It was hard when we were, trying to live up to the expectations of
right.
a traditional school or a curriculum. And once we said, like, why are we killing ourselves? And we kind of threw that out the window. Now it's easy. Now it's fun.
It's
But
very
it's a process.
organic. Yeah,
Yes,
it's very
everything
organic.
is going
Don't panic,
to
it's organic. Don't
that.
panic. So
Going to a
I
restaurant is a learning experience for us now. Like everything, like you said.
yeah, so I think it's that part where you try to go with the flow. No. I like to say go to with the flow is more organic than what I'm trying to say. But if you try to follow a certain pattern or norm, then it becomes a little bit hard because you have to consider that each child is unique. That's why each
Mhm.
learning is personal. So that's yes. So that's really kind of bringing it back to that those kinds of workshops that we have. Yeah.
That's just an amazing service. I love it. I wish I would have seen it at the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, you're doing great.
Now I am. There was a struggle for 2 years. We were like, please open up schools again. So we kind of got it. We got it now. So tell
Yeah.
us about your family. Where are you in your world schooling journey now? Are you traveling? Do you have a home base?
Okay, so my child and I and my husband's actually based in New York. He's right there right now. We're kind of back and forth. When I was teaching back in the brick and mortar school, every weekend we're just zooming out and like, okay, where do we We try to see as much as we can because those are different classrooms that you're bringing your child into. It's different when it's experiential learning.
Mm-hmm.
So right now the company is based in Arizona. We are here in Arizona. We do travel as much as we can. So we are slated to go to Mexico to meet up with a bunch of these cool hip mommies.
Are you coming
And
to the Project World School Family Summit
yes, I'll see
in
you there.
Veracruz? I love
Yes,
that all are coming. It's very
it'll be my
cool.
first time in Mexico. So,
You
it'll
will
be
love
fun.
it because you're from the Philippines and you spent time in Hawaii,
Yes.
and the culture is very similar. It's laid
Sweet. I'm very
back,
excited about that. Very laid back. Chill out. Yeah.
very laid back. What do you
Yeah.
want? Your chapter's number 3. What do you want people to take away from your chapter when they read it? What should they learn?
I like to think that I put a bit of a bunch of nugget of wisdom in there, like,
Mm-hmm.
own schooling, learning is personal. I did put on there some tips on if you're a brick and mortar teacher, how do you incorporate some world schooling concepts like partner with your community establishments and see how you can either, if your school is willing to have you bring your kids there once a month, once a quarter, and just have them really learn from the environment, really learn from what they do over there. Like one time we went to the fish hatchery, and my
Oh,
nonverbal kids, they learn how to feed the fish. They learn about different kinds of trouts. They learn about, just the reading itself. They read from pamphlets and they write their experiences at the end. They make calculations with the measurement of the food of the fish, with the weight of the fish. Incorporating this common core within such a natural environment is always so beautiful. Or if your school is not able to allow you to bring your kids out there, then how you can bring these resources into your classroom so it becomes a really like face-to-face learning experience. But I think at the very end, I remember me putting the sentence that says to give your child to the world is to give your child the world. And I
yes.
think that's really why we world school, is you want them to have all these meaningful moments as much as you can give them, because once they are ready to step out there, then that you have very confident and independent individuals.
I can
Yeah.
speak from my own experience teaching that I've always been a project-based learning, like interactive teacher. I used to wear sneakers to school, and I used to get in trouble because all the teachers had to wear heels. I would wear sneakers, like the gym teacher. And I even quit the school one time because they told me the parents want the books filled out. And I said,
Oh,
do you want me to just give them the answers? I mean, I can give them the answers to the books. They were $10 books. But,
mm,
and I found in different countries that they just weren't ready for that kind of,
mm.
and that's very sad because it's the best way to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. We all know that. I,
Yes.
we know it. And I think, when you have your own kids, for me at least, something clicked as a teacher, like, oh, I don't want this for my kids. Did that happen to
Mhm. Yeah.
you?
Oh my gosh. I'm like, why do we have to read about these mountains? Why can't we just go there?
Yes. I have a couple follow-up questions. I have them
Okay.
in our
Yeah.
messenger. I wanted to ask you just some personal questions about your chapter.
Okay.
So, what are your plans right now for school in a backpack? What are you trying to do in 2023?
Okay, yes, it's very promising. I have one that I really, really want to tell you guys about. So
Okay.
we had what we call School by the Shore in 2017. We went to this resort, and from day one, once we got there, we taught the kids life skills earth, we called it. So we taught them how to pitch tents and how to wash hands using those like old school pumps. And then we also had what we call the life skills water, where lifeguards
Mhm.
were there, and we taught the kids how to read waves and how
Oh,
to
cool.
administer the CPR with their parents. So their parents are lying down. And so that, if anything happens, then, at least the basics. And then we incorporated some common core into the environmental play is what we called it. So there was an obstacle course. We called it the artsticle course, where there were flags and there were groups of kids running around the flags and reading what they need to do, writing.
Mhm.
And then we had I think one of the programs is called SciShore, where we
Mhm.
buried parts of a microscope. And then we taught them how to use the compass. We taught them longitude and latitude. We gave them a sheet. They had to find the pieces to form the microscope, so that after that we gave them slides, and they just had a field day looking at
Of
putting
course,
stuff
of
on their.
course.
It
That
was
sounds
completely fun. It was really fun.
it sounds fun. I mean, you're teaching what we should have learned in school. We should have learned CPR. We should have learned how to read waves. And, how many kids with riptides don't know to go to the side. Was that in
Yeah.
Arizona?
No, that was in the Philippines. That was right before I
Oh,
migrated. So we had planned to do that annually, but then I had to migrate for work.
mhm.
And so now that School in the Backpack is officially back, we are bringing School by the Shore back this 2023. It is 2 months, 5 destinations out of the 7,107 plus islands in the Philippines. We're going to 5 in June and July
That is
of 2020.
amazing. How do you sign up, or how do you go?
Okay, so if you guys are interested to participate, to take part of at least one of the islands or all 5 of the islands that we're going to, each island has their own theme. So we have a digital detox island, we have a world school pop-up island will be our first island. We have an extreme sports and underwater. I forgot what the other one was. Oh, a media program. So we're gonna create films with a director. And so
Oh,
it'll
how
be
cool.
really fun. Yeah. And then at the end of it, you get to bring home your film. There's a film showing. So it's really a full pack 2 months, 5 destinations. So please visit www.schoolinthebackpack.com if you are
I
interested.
love it.
Oh,
I wanna go. I wanna send my
yeah,
husband too.
let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I have not been home to my country since I left in 2017, so
Oh.
I'm extremely excited.
And it's
Yeah.
open for people traveling with school and
Yes.
everything?
Yes. Yes.
And the
So
last thing go ahead.
www.schoolinthebackpack.com. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, you kinda answered my last question because I said, "Well, now that you have the freedom, now you're not teaching at the public school. Where are you going?" And you kinda answered that when you said Mexico and Philippines. Any
Yeah.
other plans?
I think I am slated to speak in one of the conferences or tours in the UK in May. And
Mhm.
then I think we are arranging an art tour for world schooling families too, if you guys want to come at in
In the
August at
UK.
yes. So in the UK in May, and then Greece in August, aside
So you
from
need to
Philippines in summer,
organize
and then
something wherever you're going.
yes, we have to.
That's awesome. No, it's like, I have to go. It's work. You just don't get
Yes.
into it. All right.
We
How
love
about
what we do.
your son? One last question since you already answered that one. How about your son? You said he's 12 years old now. That's like teenager area.
Ish.
How
Yeah.
has he changed? Does he still like world schooling or own schooling?
Yes, actually, here's a funny story. We moved here in 2017, and because I'm teaching, his dad's teaching, we said, why don't you try going to the traditional public school? So
Mhm.
he did for half a year when we came, and then the second year he went back, and then towards like the middle of the second year he was like, can we go back to just world schooling now?
I'm
So
curious
he's
about that.
yeah, so I think he thrives in that setting more because he's
Mhm.
such a kinesthetic learner. He's an audiophile. He's a tinkerer, so that kind of
My
that
daughter
really
too, to touch everything.
right. Don't
I
we
do.
all, right?
Well, it's true. It's true. Would you rather read about, an art project, or would you rather, paint a picture? Of course. But we
Yeah.
tend to, get sucked into the whole traditional schooling thing. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. We paid a
Well,
lot of money.
it's very convenient because it's readily available, but I really think that there are a lot of things that we can contribute into the current system because the world is changing as we know it. So,
100%. It's not so much about memorization because you can Google everything.
right.
You have to know how to interpret the information now. It's a different world, and education hasn't caught up to that.
Yeah. It's kind of
Any
still the same thing, but yeah.
It's the same as it was 100 years ago. So any last
Um,
thoughts? Anything you wanna share with us? I have my let's see if we can get this. The
oh my
Worldschoolers
gosh, I have
book.
it too. Wait, let me open it. This is my last thought.
Sometimes it gets a glare on my iPad. I'm trying. I'm
Where
trying
is
to
my
get the
Kindle?
good.
Okay, right here, right here. Let me pull it
Yes,
up with you.
I have it on Kindle too. Now we are literally waiting. I don't know. I think I get the glare.
Yes.
The Worldschoolers
Please,
book.
everybody, support this book. We have 22 awesome authors that talks about their own experiences like mine, cooler sometimes. And yeah, my last thought would be okay. My last thought would be always remain curious, wonder, always explore and discover, wander, like with the A,
Yes,
and
I saw that.
always look for and enjoy experiences that behold and mold you. Wonder with a U, which
I
is the
love that.
tagline
I
of
saw that
School in
new
a Backpack.
chapter. I
Yes.
saw that new chapter. That's for just for kids, or is that for parents too?
Oh, that's for everybody. You always have to be curious, explore, discover, and experience the awesomeness of life.
Thank you so much for doing this with me tonight. We are literally waiting for the paperback to be available. So if it is available tomorrow morning, I'll just add that link. Thank you, everybody who supported us and grabbed the ebook. I know ebooks are not your favorite, not my favorite either. I want to hold my book. I want to feel it, but
Ah,
it will be available probably tomorrow, and hopefully we can get it for Christmas. Thank
that's
you,
a big
Joanna.
goal.
If you want to follow her, it's schoolinbackpack.com. She's on social media, School in a Backpack, pretty consistent. And you can find her tagged in the description.